Right. I will continue on the previous day lesson where we have just learned about SQL, MySQL queries, and about the insert, retrieve, update, and delete. From that, let's move to the integration part. Now we should learn how we can integrate that with Python. Right? Python is here the programming language is Python, and the database basically DBMS, or the database management system. So how we basically handle the database using another language called SQL, MySQL. Actually, we were using MySQL that day, right? Let's proceed. Let's continue from that. Okay. So the first part is actually, so in order to connect with MySQL, the first thing that we need to know is we need to connect MySQL into Python. To do that, actually, we have to use another thing called a connector. So you can go to Google and start downloading this. You can type Python MySQL connector. So first of all, make sure that your MySQL is up and running. That can be done using the SAM server bundle. Actually, you can use the controller there, and you can start Apache. Apache is not required, but the thing is, like, in order to work with the graphical user interface, we need PHP MyAdmin. PHP MyAdmin is hosted in Apache. Otherwise, if you just start that and if you try to go to the admin, you can see it gives an error. It will not display the admin. So here I have started MySQL service and I'm trying to access admin, but it says that localhost PHP MyAdmin, it cannot be displayed, can't reach. The reason is that even though your database server is running here, the reason is that your Apache or the web server instance is not running. Therefore, the database server is running. What you can do is you can go to the command prompt and start accessing the database server here. I hope you can remember the steps. First of all, you have to access the folder CD, you can say a C drive, and then SAMP, and then MySQL bin, that is binaries folder. Then you can move to the bin folder, and then you can start MySQL -u username is root, and -p for the password, it is blank. Just press enter and enter again. Here you can access the MariaDB, and you can say none means nothing is selected, but you can just show databases. And when you see the databases, I hope you can remember the database that we have created. That is this DB user. We can use DB user. So I'm recalling the commands that we have already learned. And now you can see instead of none, it says the database has changed. So you can show the tables there. And that is there's the table user. Let's describe the TBL user. And you can see it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fields. That is UID, username, email, password, and TP number. That is the structure, and the primary key is UID. Let's see whether there are data. You can write a DML command, select asterisk from TBL user, and so all the data. So there are 4 records. The record number 1 was deleted. We have deleted it last day. Now you can see 4 records there. You can see all the data. That means you can access your database server. But the thing is, to access the graphical user interface admin, there is a supportive tool, that is the other server. You have to start Apache server, which is our web server. Once the web server is started, if you try to access the database server admin, you can see it will be displayed, because this PHP MyAdmin tool is hosted on localhost. You can see now it displays, and you can go to the DB user. That's why both servers need to be started, right? Then you can say table user. When you go inside that, you can see the data that we already saw in our command line. I hope these steps you can remember, right? So one way is accessing using the graphical user interface, which is easy. The second way is accessing using the command line interface, which you need to remember the commands. Whatever method, now you can access the database, query the database, get data, delete data, update data, all these things can be done. So we are okay with that. The next step is like we are today, what we need to do is connecting. To do that, we have to download Python MySQL connector, right? Python MySQL connector, and also use the download, and then you can see it gives this. This is advertisement ad, and here download connector Python. It is from the developer zone. Let's go to the dev.mysql.com link, and there you can select the version Microsoft Windows. If you're using other version, you have to use that. And I'm using 64-bit Windows. Just selecting that, and you can see it's only 8.9 megabytes. Let's download it. Do I need to log in? No thanks, just download. Okay, here the MSI file, the setup is downloaded. Then what you need to do is just install that into your computer. Okay, it will be installed here. Actually, without installing, if you try to get that MySQL module, it will give an error. Now you can start the IDLE and check whether this module is there. To do that, you can just try to import MySQL, and if no errors, if this command is working, means your MySQL connector is properly installed. Otherwise, when you try to import MySQL, it will give an error. Okay, first try these steps. Let me know once you're done. So you have to go to the IDLE, then type import MySQL. If that is working, yes, you are done. Okay, take a new file. If this is working, we can proceed with a new file and start writing the connection. Right? Start establishing the connection. To do that, we have to import the MySQL library as I did previously. Right? You have to install the MySQL library, and after that, you can start writing the code as displayed here. The first thing is actually we need to get the connector. Import. You can import MySQL or directly you can import the connector. MySQL connector. So that can be done. Then you can simply connect to the database by giving all the parameters in the connect function. So let's say you can say DB test or DB school or DB. What is the database that we have created? It is a DB user, right? Okay, check whether this code is working for you. First of all, you have to run the connect method, MySQL connector, that is what you have imported, and then connect. Inside that, there are 4 parameters: host, username, password, as well as the database name. Then you can just run it. Let's run the module. You can save this as db example.py. Save. Okay, it runs without any error, means you are successful. You can just purposely give some bogus information, or just put 1 2 3. When you run the module, you can see it generates a big error. The reason is you are trying to connect to the localhost using password GS, and it is access denied for the user root at localhost. The reason is we are trying to use a password, whereas the default password is no password for, it's the empty password for MySQL. That is the default. But if you have installed this in a Mac or Linux, you have to give root as the password, because in Mac or Linux, it typically take root as the username and root as the password. But if for the Windows, you can just give a blank password and try this. So let me know once you are done. If you are not getting any error, means you are successful. So the next thing is, right now you have connected to your database.
The command prompt isn't working for me.
Sorry, I didn't get you.
The command prompt.
Yeah.
It's not working.
Actually, do we need to use the command prompt? I just show you the example, but okay, share the screen, then I can check what you're telling me. We don't need it because like we are using it, the other version. But anyway, just share the screen, then I can check. Okay, that is, the command is wrong. That's why I asked you to write down this command somewhere last day. Can you remember? Did you write down this somewhere?
Is it?
Okay, that way also you can try. Yeah, try that way. That is going from the beginning. That is also okay. No issue, right? Then go one by one. You can go one by one. So that's why I asked you to keep it somewhere. But otherwise, what will happen? Like after some time, you will forget. Since I knew that, that's why I said. Yeah, instead of typing this, you can write a single command, cd space. Okay, type cd space c colon. No, just type the full part. C colon space cd space cd space c colon colon. This is semicolon. Then C colon / XAMPP MySQL in the previous command that you have typed XAMPP, then / MySQL / that is one time command. Okay, press enter. So then no need to go folder by folder. Actually, what you have written down there, how to go folder by folder, that is also correct. Anyway, after going to the folder, you can log in, right? So anyway, please remember the commands. Otherwise, you ain't no need to type the commands that I just typed. You can try with your commands. This is also okay. What is it there in your notepad? It's also okay.
Okay.
But you can proceed on that level. And now, what you need to do is you have to log into the database, and so that can be easily, right? Okay, just try the Python command and check whether it's running properly. If not, tell me, like, this is how you connect to the database. Actually, then you have to get something called cursor. Cursor is the one which will access the database and execute commands. To get a cursor, you can say my cursor or something, my cursor. Just say my cursor. Yes.
It says it's still giving me an error.
So what's that now?
It says whenever
Password equal mark is missing in the previous line.
oh,
Now
and this one.
Now try. Okay. Consider syntax, right? Okay. Right, then my cursor equal, you can say MySQL, the DB, that is your DBU, that is the database, then object, then you can call the cursor. Cursor is the one which is going to execute the command. Once you get the cursor, you can execute the command. Call that cursor, that is this one. You can just call that cursor and execute. Right, when you execute, you can write the SQL there. Actually, what is your SQL? First time, let's write the select query. Any query can be placed here. Select all from, what is the table name? TBL user, I guess. Yes, TBL user. That is your SQL. Select all from TBL user. Actually, semicolon is also not required. You can just run that. If it is successful, you can store that in the result. You can say MySQL. You can fetch one by one. Or fetch everything. Right? Fetch all will fetch everything. Or you can fetch one by one also, right? Fetching means taking one by one, or just fetch one, or fetch all, or fetch one is also, fetch one will take only one record. Fetch all will take all the records. You can check that for you can write the for loop, right? For, let's say, for k in result, you can print that k. So let's see if it is successful. Okay, here you are getting all the rows. You're getting all the rows because fetch all. But if you fetch one instead of fetch all, fetch one, it will only give, right, the first one. Here, can you see? It's only give first one, and that will break down into the first one will be taken, and that will be that will be taken down and printed as fields separately. But here, fetch all will fetch everything and store it in a tuple, in tuples. Then all the tuples will be printed. And if you need names only, you can call the tuples here the 0th element, here the first element. K1 will be the first element, which is actually printing the name of all the names. Likewise, you can say what you want, that will be printed. K1 is basically here 0 is this, K1 is this, K2 is this, K3 is this, 4 is this. So that is list index. I hope you can remember the list that we have, list and tuples. This is a tuple actually. It's read only. Tuples are read only, but still you can get and fetch them. Please write down that. Test this code. Okay, do like this. So now you are getting all the data items from the database. So what you need to do is open a file, text file, txt file, or even CSV file, doesn't matter, anything, right? Text file or CSV file, and write all the names, emails, and telephone numbers into that file. Doesn't matter whether it's a text file or CSV file, just take data from this database and write that into a file and save that in your file location. Okay, what you need to get? First name, email, and the telephone number. You need to write down that into a text file or CSV file, whatever you prefer. Okay, so that is to remind you the previous activities that we have done. I hope that you can remember how file writing was done. Just give a try. I'll give you 5 minutes. Just give a try. But remember that, so you have to give a try, right? This is okay. You have tried up to some extent, but the thing is, with the errors, you need to understand what has happened, then update the code. So whatever you have done here is correct. You have to open a file. Let's say if my file equal open. Let's open file for writing. My.csv, opening that for writing purpose that you need to do. I agree with that. Then you need to write this before this OVR. You have to write my file dot write the headings. I ask you to write the name. After that, email. After that, telephone number. Name, email, and the TP number. That's why that's what I asked you to write. And after that, there should be a new line, because after writing, you are going to print a new line. Otherwise, it's not going to add a line. So this was missing in your code. That's why it's not coming to the next line. The next is like you are getting here. You see that you are getting tuples, but you cannot write entire tuple directly to the file. Yes, you can write it, but that is not the way that you should do. So basically, you have to take one by one and write carefully. So one thing is mf dot. You can write. The first thing is surely the string format. You can convert string format and kth. First item, that is name, right? Zeroth item is ID, but first item is name. Right. After that, after this, you can add a comma to this, because name, then comma. After that, you can add the string version of K. So this email is number 2. Here I couldn't close the brackets. That is my mistake. Sorry. Okay. After that, another comma is need to be there. Anyway, these are anyway taken. String is you can give, but without giving string also this will work, because anyway name and email are strings. Telephone number is integer that you have to anyway convert. After that, a comma, and after that str version of k. The telephone number is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth one. That is the telephone number. And after that, surely a new line should be appended. So that you need to keep in the mind. And finally, you can close this file. After everything, you can close the file. Let's run it. If no errors, this should be executed. Yes, it's executed. Display the values. Now what you need to do, go to the place that where you have saved here, see users, use app data, local program, Python, also big path. Let's go to that path. I think I can copy this. Paste in the address bar. It will make my task easier. And there are what is the file name? This file name. There should be Excel or CSV file or CSV files here. Let's open the CSV file. Yes, you can see. Oh, so what's here? I think we need to separate by comma. All right. TP number. Space is not a separator. Yeah. You have actually, I'm using a different version. This is open office calc. That's why this. Otherwise, it will directly open. I'm using semicolon is also not required. The only comma is the separator that we are using. This is because comma delimited version. Only the comma is the separator. You can see name, email, TP number, everything is nicely organized now. If you open this, you can see name, email, and telephone number. It's nicely organized into the file and written perfectly. So that is the expectation, right? So what are the missing things you can identify? The missing thing is you try to write the entire tuple at once. That is not the way that you should do something, because you know K is the entire tuple, but from K you can take the first element, which is the name, second element, which is the email, the third element need to be skipped, that is password, the fourth element is the telephone number, convert them to strings, and in the middle you have to merge commas, and at the end you have to add a new line. Okay, you can try it now. Right, if you can remember the other queries. So we just discussed not only about the select query, we just discussed about the update query, delete query, insert query. Okay, next day, as a homework, because you have 1 week of time, you can try to execute the other queries. Insert query, update query. But insert query, you have to get some inputs, right? You have to get the name, email, the password, as well as the telephone number, and try to insert that into the database. Check whether that is successful. In the update query, you have to find data, right? First of all, you have to find the data, then update it. We just discussed that last day also. Then the delete query, existing data, you have to find it first and then delete. Try to develop a program supporting that. Actually, that will be, so once you are done, that will be like a mini assignments, which is like going to, so once you learn all these things, we can conclude the Python lesson, because we have already discussed the concepts, operators in Python, functions in Python, file handling in Python, the variables, etc., the list tuples, dictionaries in Python. And then we were discussing about the recursion, sequence selection, repetition. These things we were discussed very earlier. And finally, after the file handling, we started doing database handling. And now we are doing the database handling. And after so all these 4 queries, started applications, we can conclude the Python part of our syllabus. Then what we need to do is we have one more thing, that is the object-oriented programming with Java. So that is a bit tough. This part is like Python codes are a bit easy, right? I think within maximum within 1 or 2 days, 2 days, yes, we can conclude the lesson. But you have to do the activity. That is must. Practice it anyway. Otherwise, like I have to instruct one by one, take one by one and discuss that. But if you can practice it and come up with the mini assignment very quickly, then we can quickly conclude the lesson. Okay, with that, I'll stop from here. Next week, we'll discuss about the other queries. Okay. Have a nice day. Bye.
Bye.